All right, this is BS with Joe.
It is.
Um,
You had put out a short that you promised you'd be covering a topic.
yes. So the short that I put out, which we got over 500 views
On the short, yeah.
on a short, that's actually really good for us because we don't really get very much. But it's did Trump stop the color revolution? Now I'll go. We talked about it in the past, but I'll give you a quick overview of what a color revolution is. It's where individuals are imported into a country and they take over the country by changing it from within.
Right.
It's non-violent, so they change the color of the nation, literally.
Yeah. It was done. The Soviets did it.
Soviets did it with Ukraine.
Yeah.
When
And
they
Georgia.
first in Georgia. And this is back in the 30s and 20s and
Yeah.
even the 50s. They went in, they invaded, they took over the country, they swapped out all the farmers that were in Ukraine, transported them to Russia, and then took Russian farmers and transported them to Ukraine.
Yep.
Caused a huge famine and all this other stuff back then.
But that's what a color revolution is, just in case you didn't know.
Yeah. And we're going through this right now in our country.
Well, it's stopping.
We're trying to stop it. We have a lot of judges that are trying to keep it going because
I don't understand it because they're outside the bounds of legal when
It
they're
is.
doing this.
well, yes,
And it's been
especially
proven that even the Supreme Court justices that they actually reversed their own opinion on that, but they tried to stop him, and then they came back and said, "Well, wait a second, that's actually not the law."
right, and it becomes a global issue, which that's what our president's supposed to be dealing with is foreign countries. He made an agreement with the El Salvador president to taking back a lot of illegal immigrants that were committing crimes here in the U.S.
Right, because Venezuela didn't want him back.
Right. And the judge tried to stop it. What is a judge doing trying to get into global affairs?
And he was a district court judge. He wasn't even. He was nobody.
He was a nobody.
Yeah.
Right. And judges aren't supposed to be getting into,
Global affairs.
global affairs. And also, these individuals are not U.S. citizens.
It wasn't even his district.
Not even his district.
So he had no point
Yeah.
being involved.
But this is how far the left is going on all this.
Well, I mean, have you seen the Democratic approval numbers?
It's in the toilet.
They're
They're
the worst
circling
thing
the
ever.
drain.
Well, the Republican approval numbers are down too, but the Democrat approval numbers are like the lowest they've ever seen.
Yes, that's because they've lost. Like Gavin Newsom was on. I think it's Charlie Kirk
Okay.
show,
Yeah.
and they had a debate, and
Charlie Kirk's conservative.
yes, and Gavin Newsom was far to the right of what he was originally going towards with California,
Uh-huh.
and the left just annihilated him because they're like, that's not what the left wants.
Right.
Now nobody knows what the left wants anymore.
They don't even know what they want. They don't know what they
even
stand
what
for.
they don't know if they want a communist country because they say they don't.
Right.
They say they
They're talking about saving democracy, but everything that they're doing is anti-democracy.
absolutely. What it is, it's more like as if they're wanting globalism, and I think a lot of the individuals that are fighting for this are individuals that are on government-assisted programs.
That could be.
And
It makes me think of what happened when Europe gave up their sovereignty and became the European Union.
yes,
A lot of if you look at the people in Brussels that are actually running the European Union, most of those people are people that failed up. You know,
Correct.
these are people that lost elections in their own country. They couldn't be elected into the government in their own country. And they ended up getting a job in the European Union. And
Yep.
now they're telling their country what to do.
right.
And the people in their country didn't even want them.
No.
They're all unelected idiots
Mm-hmm.
that are dictating policy in Europe.
Right, and the left and this is why I think they're all government fund, on some sort of assistance programs, because they're afraid of their assistance programs being gone, and they would have to do something, or how are they going to supplement their income? The thing is, a country cannot stand when they give the whole public cash, because then cash is worthless.
Yeah, I have seen in the last couple of weeks, I've seen a lot of people on social media freaking out over losing SNAP benefits and losing Medicare and Medicaid. I mean, if you're in your 20s or 30s and are able to work, granted, I understand that a lot of the jobs that are out there are not going to pay you a ton of money if you don't have any skills, but there's also programs that you can get skills.
Correct.
So, who are you going to blame?
Right.
You
Well,
can't blame the government.
no. The government's actually what's keeping those individuals down by giving them all this assistance.
Right. It's like give a man a fish he eats for a day.
Right. Teach him how to fish, he's able to feed himself every day.
Yeah.
And the thing is with the skilled labor, I was listening to, actually I saw a video where an individual killed 5 individuals driving a semi-truck. Barely spoke English, don't even know if he could read or write English.
I saw that video.
And he was intoxicated. And it
Not only
seems-
was he intoxicated, but he had been driving like 18 straight hours.
Right, that's illegal.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's illegal to be intoxicated, and it's illegal to be driving that long.
right. And I was listening.
And he didn't even have a license to drive the truck.
Correct. I was listening to a truck driver. He was talking about what the wages should be for truck drivers and what they are. Part of the reason why they're so low is because they're having all these illegals drive these trucks. We don't know how the hell they get their CDLs or how they get through ports.
Right.
Because both me and Joe have our CDLs.
Right.
And it's,
You have to get a TSA license to go to the ports.
yeah. And these individuals are somehow circumventing all this.
Right.
And there's these corporations giving them trucks.
Yeah.
It's like giving them a loaded weapon. And here's the thing about these corporations that this individual was talking about. They'll close shop if they have a bad accident because they know they can't afford to pay for the lawsuits. So they close up shop and they already got another DOT number and everything ready to go for another shop.
Well, what they're doing is the mom and pop trucking company really doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore.
And when you see these trucking companies that have, 10, 15 trucks, it's not a mom and pop organization.
Mm-hmm.
It's an organization, a company that's owned by another company.
Right. We were talking about that in a previous
Yeah.
episode.
And they go out and they do all this stuff that's, nefarious. And when they get caught, they just shut down. But there's another one right over here that pops up.
Right, because the larger trucking corporation, that's the way they're protected. They're subletting, or they're not letting, but they're contracting this smaller trucking company
Right.
to do these jobs for them.
Yeah.
And that's how they're undermining the income of actual truck drivers.
Yeah, I mean, truck driving used to be a good career. I mean, most truck drivers
You can
made
still make a good
money.
career out of it. You just got to find it,
Yeah.
and it's hard. And
Even the owner operators aren't making the money they used to.
no, and this is why.
Yeah.
And when we're talking, and a lot of the left this is something I've heard from them. Oh, we need illegals. We need them in California. We need them to do jobs that people are not willing to do. Well, why are they not willing to do it? Because they're not given a living wage. So are we going to allow somebody that's illegal to not even make a living wage here in the States if this is where they want to stay?
That's not right.
It's not right.
It's racist, is what it is.
Exactly.
They're using illegal slavery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then now they're turning the citizens into serfs, and
Right.
serfs is a slave.
Yeah.
And so you and I are becoming serfs.
Yeah.
And this is part of the reason why I'm starting this podcast with Joe, or Joe's starting it with me, because I've got to say something for my own mental health. Damn it.
Well, I agree. I agree completely.
All right. So with the color revolution, that's what's been going on. They're taking not only our jobs, they're also another point I want to talk about with the color revolution And this is where the Democrats are really not wanting these individuals deported, is because of the population size of these cities that have safe haven laws for the illegal immigrants.
Right.
Because it gives them seats in Congress, it gives them seats in the state, it gives them seats in all these other areas.
Because these people are being counted in the census.
Exactly, and that's how they get these seats.
Yep.
I watched a video of Fort Myer, the city council going crying and holding hands because now they're allowing the government or they're allowing the ICE to go in and start taking illegal immigrants out.
Okay. They're illegal.
They're illegal. They shouldn't be there. I don't know why they're crying and having this issue.
I don't know. I really don't. Because, I mean, anybody with half a brain can see how it's not good for the country.
Well,
They have all these people in here that are taking jobs that... It's not that they're taking jobs that the people don't want. They're taking jobs at a lower salary than people can afford to live on.
Exactly, and that's where the real problem is. And these city councils in Fort Myer, they're the protected class. They're that extra class that everybody, they're the ones that are wanting the serfs to work for them, clean their houses,
It's
do
the
this.
educated elite.
It's the educated elite, and we talked about that the last episode.
Yeah.
Because they don't see themselves as a working class.
They're not.
We got voted into these
They're
positions.
the nobility.
They're the nobility. And we, the people, need to vote them out. We need to get rid of this corruption. Because they're not for the people, they're for themselves.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that the biggest thing that could happen to move us towards solving this issue is term limits for Congress.
Absolutely.
For the House and Senate.
I think even for the state should have term limits for all their seats.
Yeah.
But you don't ever see that. And
Well, it was voted on once back, I think it was the early 90s. It actually got voted on by Congress and they shut it down. They're like, we're not going to do that to ourselves. Why would we do that?
yeah. We give ourselves raises. And part of this, I remember back in my 20s, I used to move drilling rigs. And the owner of the drilling company that we moved a bunch of crap in his yard for, he was on the seat of representatives for the state for years.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you think helped Grease to get these contracts for his drilling company?
It's all corruption.
It's corruption. It's been like that for decades.
That reminds me of Nancy Pelosi's stock tracker.
Yep. She outperforms everybody in the stock market.
Yeah. There's on X you can find, I don't remember what the actual name of the page was, but basically it's Nancy Pelosi stock tracker. And you can invest right alongside her, and she earned 54% return on investment last year, which is ridiculous and unheard of.
Yeah, so another way we could support the fight against the color revolution is by trying to get more of these illegals deported, so that way these companies could pay a living wage. Like, we got our roof re-roofed, and none of them spoke English. So I assume that they were all illegals, and they were subcontracted out from the company that
Doesn't
we
necessarily mean that they're illegal, but
it's likely. I don't know that for a fact, but none of them spoke English.
yeah.
And they were probably more likely subcontracted out through the major roofing company that we had.
There was
And I feel guilty about that.
when this ICE thing first started happening, when Trump came into power, and there was a post on X that I saw where it was a contractor who was complaining that he wasn't going to be able to meet his deadlines because his roofing contractor didn't have any employees left.
Yeah.
And I was like, why the hell are you using an illegal roofing contractor then?
That's it.
You know, I mean, if you're a contractor, know who you're subcontracting to.
Yeah.
If you're subcontracting to a company that's using illegal labor,
Well, and
you don't deserve to meet your deadline.
right, and our judges need to hold these individuals accountable.
Yeah.
If they're caught hiring illegals to do a certain job, I think that's against the law.
It is against the law.
So we need to hold them accountable. But yet you got judges that won't send illegals.
I don't know about
Out of
you,
the country.
but anytime I've been hired to do a job, I give my driver's license, social security number, and that all gets sent to the state, and the state is notified that you now have a new job.
Yeah, I even had to give my birth certificate.
Really?
Yeah.
I never had to do that. But, I mean, through the I-9 program, you have to be identified, and it is reported to the state when you get a job.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're hiring illegal immigrants, you're not following the law.
Nope. And you know, I could see corporations doing like, oh, you got this may not be you, but we're going to take it and assume this is you,
Right.
so that way we could get you to work for us.
Yeah.
Because I was following a case where an illegal killed another illegal here in the state of Florida, and they used all these different aliases. Same with that one woman that was raped and killed, Lincoln Riley.
Yeah. Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley. Did I say it correctly?
No, Lincoln.
Lincoln Riley.
Yes.
The killer used all these aliases, and so did all of his roommates use all these aliases. That's probably because they had to go underneath an assumed name to get the jobs.
Probably. And if the company is hiring all these people without reporting them to the state, they have to be paying them cash under the table, which means that there's no taxes being filed.
Right.
There's no workers' compensation.
Mm-hmm.
These people have they fall off the roof. There's nothing.
Yeah. And that the employers probably like it because it's less cost for them.
Oh yeah, they don't have any cost at
They're
all.
going to charge you like as if they're paying living wages and all this insurance and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
That's just more money for their pocket. But yet you got contractors that are subcontracting, that are subcontracting, that are subcontracting.
Right.
I've heard stories of that going on.
I mean, it's not illegal.
It's not illegal.
I mean,
But-
if you have a contract with someone, it is your responsibility to fulfill that job. If you subcontract that job to somebody else, it's still your responsibility to make sure that job got done.
Right. Doesn't matter how, just
Right.
that the job got done.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's what's happening.
It doesn't matter how. It matters whether it was done properly or not. But
Right.
it doesn't matter whether it was, it doesn't matter what company you used
Or the labor that they
or
use.
the labor that they used. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't matter to you as a contractor because you just have to make sure the job was done.
Correct.
So,
that's it. I have for a color revolution. Joe, do you have any more to add?
no, because I'm starting to get angry.
I deal with that on a daily basis. I know you guys probably do too. But like, share, subscribe, share the show.
Please.
Yeah,
And give us some comments.
yeah. And any information that helps us topics to talk about. Although Trump has given us a ton of topics, same with the left. But
Yeah, if you happen to watch this far, just tell us in the comments where you're from.
yeah, or if we're doing a good job, or you think we're scum of the earth,
Something.
something. All right.
All right. Okay.